Okay, this is the set of goalie pads that I use as my inline outdoor pair. And I tried using this roller fly. It's actually a used set of roller fly, and it didn't end up working that great for me. I think part of the reason is some of these balls have been worn down a bit. Also, the surface I played on was quite rough. It wasn't a very smooth surface, it was a rough concrete type thing. The balls have been worn down a bit, and it just wasn't ideal for what I needed it to be. If I was indoors, I think something like this would work great. So instead, what I'm going to be trying is this Ice Skin Pro 2. Comes from Passau. And I'm going to take off the roller fly, and I'm going to put this on, and we're going to see if this actually works better on a concrete surface than the used old roller fly did. First step is going to be for me to take off the existing roller fly. Alright, now my first pad is ready to operate on.
One of the things that was a little bit annoying is that not every piece was ready to be installed. You had to do a little bit of cutting and separating to break every piece apart from each other. And then in addition to that, there were some parts that just weren't done correctly.
So all of these should have been pre-drilled. A lot of them are not, so I'm just going to have to drill them myself. We're now going to start marking our drill spots.
And as you'll see, because I had to drill these myself, there's a bit of plastic overhang on the back side that prevents me from cleanly sticking my marker through.
See that? That's a problem. Can't make the marks down on the pad because of the crummy way they cut them out.
So I had to try a bunch of different things to try to get these sliders clean and flush on the back side. It wasn't easy, and it took up quite a bit of time. Eventually, I was able to get things cleaned up enough to get my marker through the holes. In order to get the screws that come with the kit to dig in and hold, you'll need to place these little plastic squares inside the pad so the screw can latch on. They come together in a sheet, and you need to use a blade to separate them out. To put the plastic squares in the pad, you need to cut the leather a bit so you can slide the squares in. Most people seem to use a box cutter or a razor blade to do this. I found that to be a bit tough and dangerous. Using wire snips, like scissors, seemed to work the best for me to get this done. Once your opening is cut, you can then begin to push the backing plastic square into place with the included push rod and plastic bar. Once you have all your plastic backers in place, you can then screw in your slider into place. One thing that caught me off guard is that the screws that come with the kit are not Phillips heads, but actually square-headed. I assumed that they were Phillips head and thought that the screws got stripped in the drill.
Totally stripped it. Incredible.
On closer inspection, I learned that they were actually square-headed. Luckily, I had that drill bit, but I can imagine that I would have been quite upset if I didn't have that drill bit on hand already. One of the most important areas to secure are the knee landing areas, but on my pads there isn't enough space to screw in the knee landing skid plates on all four corners and have it hit a square plastic backer inside the leather, because the leather is too small. But what I found I could do is add a plastic back on the opposite side of one of the landing flaps through the fabric and have it connect on that side, which seemed to work out okay for me. Another gripe that I have about the kit is that the instructions they send it with appear out of date. The pieces shown are the pieces in their first generation kit, but today they sell their 2.0 version, which, while mostly the same, now includes new toe pieces, without exact instructions on how to install them. I was able to figure it out based off of an image on their website, but it would have been nice to have the assurance that everything was done proper. I found that the toe piece wasn't perfectly contoured to my pad, so I got a clamp to bend the plastic to better fit my pad. Most of the estimates that I saw online ranged between an hour and a half and 2.5 hours to install these on both pads, but I didn't fare as well. It took me 3 hours just to get the first pad done, and another 2 hours before I finished with the second pad. But now that I have them installed, I can give them a shot and see how they perform. Unfortunately, for the purposes of this video, I'm not going to have a one-to-one comparison on how these work on concrete like Rollerfly, because the park upgraded the rink before I could try out the sliders. But as you will see, they do slide quite well on this surface. T-push slides are a bit harder but doable. But the best way to test these out is going to be to get some shooters at a local rink and getting some saves in. Aside from getting lit like a Christmas tree, I was able to test the performance of the sliders at the park when we scrimmaged a bit later on. Here I got moving side to side in a butterfly and slid pretty well. One thing worth remembering, if you don't get good pad rotation, like what happened here, when my knee goes down on the face of the pad, the sliders can't help you and you'll instantly dig in and kill your movement. But as you can see, on the sliders you get good movement. I felt bad that I couldn't get a direct comparison with the smooth painted concrete that I tried the Rollerfly in, so I decided to hell test the sliders, first on regular parking lot asphalt. The asphalt was very unforgiving and you can't really slide with your weight on it. When your weight isn't on that side, you can slide your leg a bit. I also tried the same thing out on sidewalk concrete, which is textured for shoe grip on slippery days, and it worked out like the asphalt. It was an interesting experiment, but those little bits of testing put some noticeable wear on the sliders, much more than full games on the playing surface, so I wouldn't recommend it for asphalt if you can help it. I hope this video helped you out, and if it did, consider giving it a like.